good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money. I'm Dr. Lene Javette, and this is the hour and the place to be on this Tuesday morning. Today, our conversation is centered around Isiah Thomas, who shared that he used his NBA earnings to lift his family out of poverty. He has spoken about providing housing, food security, education, and work opportunities for his nieces, nephews, and extended family. He has also planned early by investing, building businesses, and creating systems that could support people beyond his playing career. For him, success has been measured by how his income changed outcomes for others. Today, we're not focused on the dollar amount. Most people don't have an NBA salary or $17 million. The question is how to take what we do earn and use it with intention. What would it look like to build a system that supports family without chaos? How do you move from helping in moments to creating structure over time? This conversation is about strategy, how money is allocated, how expectations are set, and how support is designed so it lasts. We're discussing what it would take to replicate this kind of impact at different income levels and what planning makes that possible. Ooh, this is going to be a great conversation today. I have the greatest queens on the planet to have this conversation with me. We have Aisha, financial services and insurance expert. We have Nomalanga, marriage, motherhood, and money-making expert. We have Dominique Morgan, realtor, RN, and coach. What kind of coach, Dominique? Just says coach. Business coach, life coach, what kind of coach?
Life coach and life business coach, but mostly
business coach. Okay. Cool. So we'll do a quick round robin before we get into the actual video. When you hear this, what are your first thoughts? Are you thinking, way to go, Isiah? Are you thinking everybody needs to do this? Are you thinking he should get a cookie because he's doing something different? Are you thinking everybody should be doing this? What are your thoughts, Aisha, when you hear this about Isiah Thomas and what he's been able to do with his NBA earnings?
Yes, I think all of the above, because, he's doing a great job, and it made me actually happy. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. So all of the above.
I thought you would say, I would think, does he have life insurance? But that's not what you said. Okay. No, Malanga, what about you? When you hear this, what's the first thing you think?
Yeah, I think it's really commendable what he's doing. And I'm really happy that he's doing it proactively, because a lot of celebrities or stars or people who make it often complain that, about the black tax. So people are going to ask you, they're going to try and rely on you and keep constantly hitting you up for money. So isn't it really better if you just come up with everybody and make sure everybody's good so you don't have that? I think that's wonderful.
Do it from the start, right? What about you, Dominique? What are your thoughts when you first hear that?
So I love it. When you think about other cultures, they do that. They come together, they stay in one house, they build businesses, they buy up blocks. So I think it's awesome. And I think that we need to shift our mindset as in terms of being solo and think about it from that perspective, because I feel like we can do more together.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's watch the video. Oh, my executive producer said, well, what do you think? I think that, I always forget to say my perspective, right? I think that I feel like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I feel like you don't get a cookie for doing what's right, right? However, there's not enough people that do what's right. And so it feels like it's like this tremendous thing, but we should all be the village, right? He has taken the village ideology and he's implemented it in his family so that it says, I'm not the only one that gets on, we're all going to get on, right? And I think, does that work for everybody? Maybe not. But I think if we have more ideology around how do we move forward as a unit? How do we move forward as a family? And if every family did it, then we could say, how do we move forward as a community? I think we could go further, faster. And so I think it's a great idea. I just wish more people would do it. That being said, let's watch our first video and then we'll come back and keep going.
They're going to do for themselves. And like, Kendrick Lamar has a song, How Much a Dollar Costs, right? And for me, I wanted to invest not in myself, but invest in my family. Yeah. And when I look at my family now, and when you say, yeah, they come to a place to learn how to work, and for 6 months, they have to work free to pay off that debt. But at the same time, they really learning skills of how to operate in a corporate environment. And then if you like it, okay, we can find a place for you to continue working. But if you don't like it, now at least you have the tools to go out in the world to compete and fend for yourself.
Yeah.
All right, I like that. So it sounds like um, you're going to come into the family business. We're going to teach you some skills and some talent. So you're not getting a free ride, right? We didn't get the full clip, so I don't know if he paid for college or paid for a home or he paid for something first, because you're coming into work for 6 months for free to pay off a debt. So it sounds like something might have been done, but it says his nieces and nephews. So let's assume it's college. Let's assume it's something like that, right? And now they're paying off the debt. And now they get the choice to either stay in the family business and work here or take your talent and skill out into the world. And so, Dominique, what do you think when you hear this? Let me ask you now that we've actually heard the clip. When you hear this, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a good idea, because oftentimes you have that one person in the family that becomes successful. So he's positioning his family in a way where he's bringing them to the water and they want to drink. He's positioning them so that they have long-term success and they can create generational wealth, literally starting with him. I think it's awesome. And I really think that once we change our mentality and stop just being solo, we can do so much more and we will be powerful, because there is power in numbers. There's an old saying, like, if you want to go quick, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I really believe in community, and I really believe in us coming together as one and doing big things. Like, my family friends know my ultimate goal before I leave this earth is to have a compound. I want a compound where we grow our own food. We, take care of our own family. We take care of our own elderly. We educate our own children. We police ourselves. And so that we have that freedom. And so for me, I'm all about community. I believe there's not many ventures that I go on alone. Can I? Yes. But I feel like there's really power in numbers.
I love that. Aisha, what do you think the difference is between helping and structuring support? Because a lot of time I think when you have somebody who has, massive revenue or massive income, people come to them, it's like, hey, can you help me? Hey, can you do this for me? Or people, they just get put on payroll so that the person who's giving out the money or dolling out the money feels like you've done something for it, opposed to just giving it to you, right? But it sounds kind of like he has this structured a little bit differently. So what would you say the difference is in how he has his family operation set up, which I would call structured support, versus just handing out help?
Right. Just listen to him talk, the structure he probably put in place. I think for me, I can draw from my upbringing where we do things communally. If you just like someone like him, you're in a space where you are more successful. How do I make sure that the ones I'm leaving behind don't just come and say, give me without anything to show for it? So the way that I can use my example that we've done this is whatever it is that needs to be done and you need money. Okay. Maybe there's in the house, something needs to be done. The person will be allowed to do it, that with their own strength. Okay, you can do this. I know you can do this. I know you can take care of the backyard. You can make sure everything is done well. Then when they do that, then whatever they need that has nothing to do with the backyard, they can be supported. So that way they're giving something for what they're asking for. Because in the past, we noticed that when we just gave them, they just spent it and came back for more because we didn't ask for anything. But now we say, okay, you know what? Well, guess what? The back needs to be completely done. So if you get it done to the way we want it done, then yeah, whatever you need, we'll give it to you. Till today now, I use that same system for my own children. So, okay, well, want some money? Okay, mom, man, I have to go to this event and I need this much. I need $500. Oh, wow. Do you have money? You're a student. Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to see if you can hit me up with some money. You know how they talk. And I said, okay, well, I don't know about that. And I said, well, you know what though? The windows, I need to hire someone to clean all the windows. I know you're not afraid of heights. Can you do it. I'll buy this stuff for you. You take care of it. Mom, I'll do it. And yeah, do all the work. You see my son, yeah, blowing all the leaves and the rake and everything. And I say, okay, here's your money. So he feels that he earned it as well. I'm not just giving him. So that is to me what I see, that perhaps maybe that's what he did, but that works.
I
Give
like
something
that.
for something.
So it's basically not a handout, right? When you structure it, say, hey, I do have this money. I don't want to just give it to you, but we can all benefit from this money. But we have to work as a team, right? We have to move. When you move, I move, just like that, right? We got to move together in order to do that. A couple of stats were handed to me just a moment ago. What Isiah Thomas has done for his family. One of those, we talked about housing stability. He made sure family members had stable places to live. So that's how he helped in that manner. Food security, he emphasized something very basic but important: family members having food in the refrigerator. That's important because sometimes folks, they might have a roof over their head, but they don't have no food in the refrigerator. As far as education support goes, many of his nieces and nephews either graduated from college or completed multiple years of college. So education has been important in this process. And then work exposure and opportunity. He's offered 6-month internships at his companies so family members can learn how to work in professional and corporate environments, which is also good because let's say you don't go to college, but you still need to have some work experience, because the more experience you have, of course, the more better that you get paid. No Malanga, in order to run an operation like this, what boundaries do you think need to exist for sustainability? I'm sure he's the first person in his family to do something like this, as a lot of our audience is probably the first person in their family to maybe make 6 figures, or to have a business, or to maybe operate just at a different level, if you will. And the sustaining is, one, your finances, right? Because you want to have some money. But two, with family members, after a while, they just be like, why we got to do this? Why are we playing these games? Like, just give me the money. I don't need to necessarily have to. What boundaries need to exist in order for something like this to live on?
I think it's not that different, kind of like what Aisha said. It's not that different as how some people run their households, where there really are requirements that you have to meet in order to be, considered a contributing member of the family. You can say that in just the nuclear family, or it could be the extended family. I personally don't pay my children or our children for chores. They're supposed to do them as a contributing member of the family. But if you do something that's above and beyond what you're expected to do, then certainly you can be compensated. If you don't behave well, there are privileges and things that can be taken away. And I think it's the same thing here, where, you kind of lay out some expectations that, okay, I'm going to help you with this. Like, for example, if you're helped with education, expectation is you should at least attend classes and pass. And if you don't, guess what? No more free education. You can see what to do on your own. And I think that's really what it is, just laying out clear expectations, and being willing to pull back whatever it is that you've given, take it back, take it away if the people don't meet the expectations that have been laid out.
That's really good. So, Dominique, what do you think? How do you decide what problems money should solve first? So you come into this money, and you have these family members. Maybe they need housing, maybe they need food, maybe they need education. It sounded like he was focusing on the youth. I cannot say for sure. Maybe our executive producer can let us know, but it sounded like it's like nieces and nephews and the next generation that's coming up. She said everyone. Okay, so that means that there's adults who aren't youth, right? Who aren't coming out of college. Let's say they're 30, 40 years old. You got this money. They may not be going the collegiate route, but they need help, right? And again, this is probably more of a universal question, because you have people who in our audience who may have come into a little bit of money, or who may have increased their wealth, maybe bought a property, a co-op, or got a couple doors, who knows? But their revenue or their income has increased, and they have to decide, or insurance, exactly. And they have to decide, well, I want to set something up like this for my own family, but I don't even know what money problem I should solve first. Should I be out here paying bills? Should I be helping with education? Should I be buying houses? Like, how could and or should a person decide what problems money should solve first?
I think it's important to have a conversation. Because again, as an individual, even him being the head of his house and having this money, he doesn't know everything, right? So within your village and your community, everybody has their strengths, right? Tapping into the people that, you know, have done something or have some information and kind of get an idea, because if we're building this family, this is not an I, it's a team, it's all of us. So getting feedback, what's the biggest issue that we're finding as a whole? You know, is it housing? Is it food? You know, is it finding a job? What is the biggest common problem within our family, and addressing that first? But it's just about sitting down and having a conversation. Also asking them, like, yes, I've come across this money, but where are you expecting us to go as a family? So you're coming up with your mission, your vision, your core values. So you're building this foundation with your family. So now, just because you're bringing it, they feel like they're a part of it because they have a say in what's going on. And it's all about conversation and really getting to the root of what we think would be in the best interest of this family and what's sustainable.
Okay. Nobody brought up a good point on the back end. She says it looks like he focused on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and our executive producer said exactly what I thought. And so let's look at that a little bit, Noma. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the foundation is physiological needs, so breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, and sleep. The next step is safety and security.
We don't even need to go to the next step. That first
I think he did health, employment, property, family, and social ability. And he covered that, which leads to love and belonging. You feel loved and belonged in this village. Friendship, family, intimacy, sense of connection, which then self-esteem comes. Confidence, achievement, respect of others, the need to be a unique individual, which I think the top of the hierarchy is self-actualization, right? Morality, creativity, spontaneity, acceptance, experience, purpose, meaning, inner potential. He sends his family out into the world prepared. How can we do that? Do you think that we do enough of that? Or is there something that we can do in our own families, not necessarily with $17 million, right? But maybe with 17,000 or 170,000. Like, how can we operate using this hierarchy in our own families? That's for Noma.
I was gonna say, when I was saying that first level, our producer said that because when you are not worried about the basics, you can expand your thinking, and that's really what it boils down to. I mean, Child Protective Services will get you if you don't even meet those that bottom basic thing, because we all understand that there's no way that you can expect a human being to function if they don't have the basics, which is food, shelter, clothing, and I think safety, maybe not in that order. So unfortunately for a lot of us, sometimes those are not even the things that some people can take for granted. Not everybody has food security. Not everybody has a stable home. So unfortunately, a lot of us are right there. But to answer the question, I really do believe in group economics, and I believe in multi-generational living.
I love that. Aisha, how do you think that we can help and support without becoming dependent, right? So one of the things I think that he's doing a good job of is it's not redundant. You don't get money just because you have to work for it, but everybody doesn't necessarily do that. And you can start supporting people in a way where they become dependent on you and they start coming to you. Hey, can I get some more money? Hey, can I get some more money? Hey, whatever the case might be. How do you prevent, or how could we prevent support from becoming dependency?
Yes, preventing support from becoming dependency is because, again, we know what the effect is when somebody depends on you, and when you give them, and then you become now the enemy if you don't give them, because there's nothing in place to protect you from that. So I think all the things that the queens have said has been so amazing, which is funny. As we're thinking about it, I say, yeah, what are the things that we can be doing to avoid something like that to happen to us? And I think, which I'm thinking that's probably what he also did, is to say, you know what, if you see a system that has worked for somebody else, find out what they did and adopt it yourself, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and trying to pull your hair, trying to talk to your family. Just see what somebody else has done that's successful. Find out so they can be like a lead for you. Then what would I do? I say, first, we'll have a family meeting. We'll have an open, transparent family meeting where everybody's there, and we'll talk and set expectations. Okay, we're gonna have expectations, and if I feel like they will see me as, oh, you're trying to tell me what to do, I may even bring an expert. That way, the expert will kind of lay down what it looks like to be successful as a family using this resource that you have. If it's a person that is successful, the expert will speak on that so that everybody hears them and don't think, oh, it's because you think you have money, right? Have an expert. Begin using somebody that's already done it before, so they can educate us properly, all of us at the same time. It's not everybody at the same time. And then we set boundaries. Boundaries, literally with contracts. This is the amount of money we're able to give you if you want to be a business owner. We'll just set it up and everybody agrees and we sign the contract. Everybody signs the contract. So if anybody decides to go out of bounds, we'll bring it back. So we had boundaries. So you can't get upset with me or get mad at me. No, because as a family, we agreed that this is what we're going to be doing. So that, to me, will separate that from, okay, now every time hand me. No, we agreed, and let's try to stay on track so that our family values and vision is accomplished. So that's how I think I would separate it if I did that.
I think it's like healthy responsibilities, because I think when a person, an individual has that kind of money, people who are looking at you feel like you got it easy. Like you didn't even really do anything for it. You played a sport, you came into some money, you run a business. Like you're not even really doing anything. Why are you making me work for it? Like you just got it. I have to work for something you already got. You know what I mean?
But if it's that easy, then you go get it.
There it is. There, healthy responsibility. Like even though I have it, I don't mind breaking bread with you and sharing with you, but you still got to do something for it. I do work for this. People don't see the late nights. They don't see you in the gym. They don't see you throwing the free throws. They don't see you team no sleep doing everything that you have to do to become who you are, and then to just turn around and give it to someone. So I think this is a great conversation, and I think it's applicable to everybody. Whether you have 17 million or 17,000, how you can operate and do this in your own family. Let's go to our next video, and we'll be right back.
Anything that you regret buying?
Just the stewardship that I had with my money.
Yeah.
In terms of, it got to a point, Sue, where I enabled the people around me to spend like $400,000 a month. Yeah, like it was a month, bro. Like on clothes, on trying to do stuff on eBay. Like, bro, it was a lot.
Okay.
It was a lot.
What does pulling a family out of poverty look like? Practical terms, because $400,000 a month. Are we helping? Are we hindering? Are we setting unrealistic expectations? Dominique, what do you think?
I think 400,000 a month is wild and reckless. But sometimes it's almost like, people make it and they feel bad for making it. So you're still in that mode of people pleasing, and you're just doing it because, I don't want to upset them or I don't want to leave them behind. But it's not making sense in the long run if you're going to end up broke when you're in position to make more money. I think that we really have to, I think that our culture is really driven by things. And we need to also change our mindset about things. So I'm giving you $400,000, a month, and they're spending $400,000 a month. But what do you have to show for it? What do you have to show for this $400,000 a month? Maybe a car, that is gonna be gone in a few years. What are we really showing for it? We really have to have conversations. And also people that are in those positions can't feel bad for saying no. No, this is not what we're gonna do. and having that confidence, because I really think that people get the money and you still have these people pleasing tendencies. I think they need to start and go to counseling so that they can create these boundaries so that you're okay with saying no. And if you say no to somebody and they get mad because you say no and it's in the best interest of you, then maybe you got to move differently with people. You know, they can't be a part of this because you don't understand that $400,000 a month can do so much more if we position ourselves well. I think it's crazy.
A month for 2 years. That's okay. So $400,000 a month for like 2 years. Do you know what kind of investing could have been happening? We could have been buying the block. We could have been buying doors. All kinds of stuff could have been happening. Also, I was informed that the family had access to his accounts and he would just see the charges. So now we have to ask, like, what kind of access you give to family and family, right? Let's just say family. I don't know if it was his immediate family or not, cousins, aunties, mamas, etc., whomever. What kind of access, Aisha, should we be giving to our family, or could we, or should we, if at all?
I know, Paul, and the way he even said, he said he was an enabler. He even said it. He says, I enable that behavior. I just let them do, and then all these boxes are coming in. I'm like, what? So, and again, because of the love and just not wanting to leave anybody behind. But no, what can we put in place? I think when we have that family meeting, that if we have
access, we're talking about access. What kind of access?
Yes.
Should you give?
So we have our meeting and we set expectations, right? And we have the experts in place. So if I'm the person that has all this money, what I will do is the expert will be the go-to, where it's separate from me. If you need anything, talk to the expert that we brought to the house that during the meeting that you saw, that you know of. They are the ones that are going to distribute whatever we need, because they have the blueprint of what we have agreed upon that we all signed as a family contract. So don't ask me. Go to the person based on what they have. They will tell you what you can get. So that way there's a separation so we can have our relationship as brothers and sisters and not fighting and hating each other. The expert will take it. That they'll say, well, based on what we have here on file, you are only able to get maybe $2,000 because you've already spent your portion already. That's it. Don't come back to me. Go to the expert that we bought here to assist us. That will reduce, to me, that friction between our relationship as siblings or whatever it is, so that it's separate. We have love, we enjoy each other, and then if anything professional, go to the expert that we brought, that we all agreed and signed the paper. That's how I will do it. Okay.
So as far as access, I'll answer that question. And that is, family should not have access directly to your funds at all.
No.
That's the answer. Nobody, spouse, yes, but no one else should have access to your funds. That's irresponsible to just leave your account open to let somebody have access to it, and then you're looking at the charges after the fact. I like what Aisha said with regards to having a family sit down and then bringing somebody in so that you don't have to be the bad guy, because a lot of times we give out of emotion. We don't want to be the bad guy. We don't want to be the person being talked about in the family. Who does he think he is? Who does she think she is? She got all this money. Now she don't want to shit. We don't want all that. And so we give out of emotion. And I think when you bring a third party in, or an expert or someone like that says, the reason why we're not going to just hand out money is because as a family, we're going to invest this money. The reason why we're not going to do this is because as a family, we're going to do this. Everybody will get a dividend. You will get your piece. We're going to start a family business. We're going to invest in this apartment complex. I'm going to hire you to do this. I'm going to send you to school for leasing, understanding, and management. I'm going to send you to school so that you understand how to do landscaping, maybe start a business. And this is how we're going to make this money work for us. So it's not just being handed out. However, should you need something, go talk to Ron, right? Don't come see me. Go see Ron. Ron will listen to what it is. He knows how much you've already been paid this month or this year. And based on that, this is how much you'll get back. But they don't have access to anything, right? No, Malengo, I kind of alluded to this, but I still want to kind of hear what you think. And I'm going to kind of double up on those two questions, which is, what does pulling family out of poverty look like in practical terms? But also, or what conversations should happen before money is even shared?
So definitely pulling people out of poverty, I can see how it can cost a lot of money because poverty is very expensive. I'll give you a quick example. I remember somebody that I knew some time ago who ended up having a stroke, and it all started out with a small toothache, which he didn't take care of. Then it got worse, and then it got infected, and apparently the infection went down into his system, and he ended up having a stroke. Now, the first thing was he just didn't have the money to go to the dentist. He didn't have medical insurance. And you see how poverty can just get so expensive that to dig out of it can be really, really difficult. So I think initially there will be that upfront thing where you kind of have to make sure people have the basic things. And then once you have that, I like that we keep talking about therapy, experts, education, because we can't assume people know how to spend money. We can't assume that people have the mental capacity, the emotional capacity to deal with all of this. So you do need experts. And as for access, I will tell you, I am not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but I do not answer my phone ever. Unless it's my husband, I just don't answer my phone because typically something that's on the other end of the phone is going to require my time. And I live my brand. It's marriage, it's motherhood, it's money making. I focus on those three things. My husband comes first, then our children, then our wealth building. And any phone ringing is going to pull me away from those things most of the time. So I just don't answer it. And I think that's the kind of the boundary that people need to have. You have to understand what your priorities are. You have to set up systems and then live it.
I like that. So you kind of talked about systems, and I think we hit this question pretty good. What systems need to be in place before money starts moving? And I think we talked about that from the perspective of the real system is conversation and then an expert, right? A person who's money, who's never had this amount of money, it's going to be hard enough managing yourself, let alone managing yourself and your family. So bringing experts in is that answer. But Dominique, what role do you think tracking and accountability play? So now we brought this person in, but as we know and we've seen, sometimes you could bring somebody in and they still don't know what they're doing, stealing, mismanaging the money. So how do we now, first time person coming into some money, we bring somebody else in. How do we track and hold this other person accountable?
Again, I think we're tracking. So we're meeting regularly. We're having these conversations. We're talking about what next steps look like. And another piece I think that we're forgetting about, we're talking about NFL, NBA players that have access to other celebrities. So you're positioned, right? You're exposed. That's another level. I know we always talk about money, but I believe that that exposure is better than education sometimes. So you're in these
network.
You're in these spaces with people that have real money. So say, for instance, he has a niece that does hair, or, he has a niece that does makeup. Now you're around these celebrities. So having conversation and saying, hey, okay, we're getting to this point. We got you through hair school. Now, what's your next step? What do you want to do? And positioning them and having these conversations and coming back and saying, hey, okay, so you went to this event. Who did you connect with? And having the tracking. These people have to, we're doing it together, but people have to have drive, right? You can't bring everybody with you. Unfortunately, you want to bring the people that have the drive, that want more, that want to bring things to the table. Everybody can't go. So we're tracking it and we're having conversations. And people that really want to go to the next level, they are not upset because you're holding them accountable. They're not upset because you're having questions. They're not upset because they're saying, hey, you were supposed to do this last week, but this didn't happen. What's going on here? What are we doing different next week? You're not just handing it to them. You're teaching them how to get it themselves. You're teaching them what they need to do to sustain this, because in the event that something happens to that primary breadwinner, that rainmaker, what happens to the rest of the family if we're not positioned and we're not teaching you? And if we're doing this as a village and we're doing this together, everybody, we need to get to the point where we're just bringing money is just flowing all different ways because we position, we access, we plan, we execute it. So that's how I look at it.
Okay, I liked all of that. And you hit on some really good points. And so let's go with education first before we move into what happens after the person. And so, Aisha, I lost my question. There it is. How important is education in a plan like this? Dominique kind of was talking about you need this, you need this, you need this. And a lot of times we don't have this, and this, right? Which is why we hire somebody. But sometimes you can hire somebody and not know what they're supposed to do, right? So if you don't have the education, you can go hire folks either A, that you don't need, or B, who don't know what they're doing, because you might not know how to explain the job appropriately. I'll give you an example. When I first became an entrepreneur, I was looking for somebody to do a website for me. I wanted this website to be fully coded. I don't want anybody else to have a website like mine. I wanted it to be custom. The first quote I got was $22,000. I was like, and that, mind you, this is like 2012. This is early days. Like you know, websites is like $750 these days, but back then, $22,000 to have it custom coded. And websites today cost more than that. Let me not be. They cost more than that, y'all. So 22,000 was my first quote, 17,000 was my second quote, and 8,500 was my third quote. So I thought $8,500 was great. And I'm like, boom, run the play. Here's your $85. Let's get it done. And every time I turned around, I was asking to have something done, and they were like, we can't do that. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do this. We can't do that. Well, let's do this. We can't do that. And I'm like, I don't understand. We can't do all these things. And they're like, the theme won't do that. And I was like, I didn't want a theme. Well, I didn't understand the difference between a website developer and a website designer. And I had hired a designer to develop a site. And so what he did, I paid him $8,500 to manage the process of the design while he hired developers to do it. But at the end of the day, it was still a theme. But I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And so a lot of times if we don't have the education we need, we will go out and bring people in who appear to know what they're doing. And, or let me say it this way, they do what we asked them to do, but we didn't even know what we was asking was wrong. Let me say it that way. So Aisha, how important do you think education is in a plan like this that you're rolling out to your family?
Yeah, education is so important. And when I say education, it doesn't mean higher education, just means knowing, understanding what is in front of you. I think for me, the first thing to do is, if you're the person that has this access or opportunity or resource, is first to find people that, like I say again, that you see that they're doing something good, and you see that, wow, whatever they're doing, I love it. I can see that they're successful, everything is in order, and ask them questions, interview them, pick their brain. What are they doing differently, and who are they using to accomplish those goals? Because it said iron sharpens iron, right? If you know good people, you tell me who they are, then I can go to them because I know you and I see how you're moving, and I see that you're doing well. Then whatever advice or referral you give me, I can trust because I see the result you're getting. Then with that person, I say, okay, you know what, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. Then I can learn from them. Then now, once I understand the basis, I understand now, okay, this is what I'm thinking for my family. I've now asked people that have done it. I see and I appreciate them. Now I understand better what I want for my family. So that way, when I now pull from either myself or for whoever's going to be helping me, I know what to expect. I'm not just bringing anybody just because the person said they're an expert, but because I know what I want, and people that I know that I also trust have given me this connection to speak to this person. Now I can now tell them what I am trying to do, learn it first. Then when I bring them in, we're on the same page. There's no surprises. I know what I'm looking for. I know what I want. They can give me ideas, but I already know exactly the base of what I'm trying to accomplish. And I'm bringing the right person to take us there. So that's what I would do. Make sure that I learn it myself first. Make sure that I'm set and I understand what I'm trying to do before I roll it out to my family members, so we can be on the same page.
Perfect. And so, Nomalinga, what parts of this
Can I just add to that?
Yeah,
Can
go
I
ahead.
add to that? Because
Go ahead.
I've always seen, like, on social media, you You'll see people make it look as if like paid mentorship and paid coaching is some kind of a hustle. It's not a
Yeah.
real job. It's not a real thing. But this is where it really counts. This is where
Yes.
you need paid coaches. This is where you need mentorship. If I look back on my life, I've had a marriage coach, I've had family coach, I've had parenting coaching, as well as financial and business coaching. But we'll go for business coaching and never think that other areas of our life need an expert who will coach you through the process. There's no way that you can know everything that you don't know, but you can get somebody who's an expert in that field, who has coached other people, have seen all the scenarios, has known for a long time that this is what you need to put in place. And even with a website, if you have like a coaching, mentorship, and mastermind, somewhere in your mastermind there's going to be somebody who's already made a website and was like, whoa, you know what happened when I made a website? I made
That's
a
right.
mistake, and I actually hired a designer instead of a programmer, or all that kind of stuff. So those things are so valuable, especially in entrepreneurship, but you can apply them to other aspects of your life. And believe me, it really does work when it's necessary like that.
This is a shortcut, right, between where you're trying to go. That mentorship, and somebody that knows what they've done already to help you. Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. Go ahead, Dominique.
Let me add something else to that. Make sure that and I agree with mentorship, but make sure you're screening people, because there are a lot of people out here that are not legit. Make sure
Yes.
they've done one deal and now they're the subject matter expert. You want to make sure you're screening people before you take them on.
Yes,
What have
indeed.
they done? What does their portfolio look
Results. What
like?
were the
What
results?
Yeah. So I do believe in coaching, but I also believe, especially in this time, you need to thoroughly vet and screen people before you send your money over.
Absolutely. Listen, ChatGPT got everybody out here and their mama being an expert. They don't know nothing but what came out the screen. And even before ChatGPT, folks was out here swindling folks, right? So definitely make sure, do referrals, see if somebody worked with them before, check they work. I mean, yeah. All right, let's go to another video. We're gonna come back in a hot second.
Do you ever go through survivor's remorse?
I go through survivor's remorse every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I appreciate the lifestyle, the blessing of what I do for a living, right? We're not sending people to the moon. We're not curing cancer. We are telling stories and we're having fun doing it. Why I feel it every day. I'm still connected to not only my community, I'm still friends with people that I started in second grade with.
Same with me.
And high school. When I say, hey, you know, I'm flying down to Vegas to go see New Edition.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'll be back tomorrow for the New Edition show here. And I'm doing this and that and that. And knowing that they can't roll like that.
Exactly.
Oh, different life.
You know what I do?
Yep.
I'll be like, yo, you want to go?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But here's the fine line, right? You cannot save the whole
That's right.
whole neighborhood.
You can't. Everybody can't go.
Everybody can't go, right? And you have to decide, because I can hang with you, but then everybody can't hang with me though.
That's right.
Listen, that part is real. And we're back.
I thought that was another video.
That part is real. Man, you literally can go places that people can't go with you. And I think we don't talk about that part enough. That was actually a really good clip and video. I had a thought and it came and went just as fast as we came and went. Let me do some stats real quick while we get ready for our second video. And I don't have them in front of me. I had them a minute ago. Let me see if I can find the stats real fast. Unless my producer puts them on the screen for me. I can't see two things at one time. Okay, there we go. Isiah Thomas earned an estimated $16.6 million over a 13-year NBA career. What is he worth today, I wonder? What is Isiah Thomas worth today? He started out with 16 million. I wonder what he is worth today. If anybody in the chat can find out, or somebody can chat GPT it for me to let me know, I would love to know what he is worth today. But I think that basically what we're talking about today is when you make it, put somebody else on, right? And we're talking about the manner with which you do it, right? I always so he turned his $16.6 million into $100 million, right? And that is how you do it. You help your community, you help your family, you increase money. People can get put on and you can make money. I think that what happens is we put people on from the perspective of they drain us and we lose money. And that's what makes people like, I can't help nobody, right? I can't help nobody because it costs me money to help. But if you find a way to help and grow, everybody gets to grow. Everybody gets put on. We're changing generational wealth. It's just housing stability and education are two of the strongest drivers of generational mobility. Yes, right? If you start helping people with their homes, you start helping people with their education, you give them jobs, you give them skill sets, you give them talents, you see how they work, you invest in their business. Now we have multiple businesses. Like, that's how we do it. We get caught up in family things that don't make us money, and then those things drain us, and then that was why we end up a lot of times with, I don't want to help, have somebody else do it, right? And so when you look at what both of these men are doing, the two who are helping and growing, right? Not the one that's spending $400,000 a month, but these other two, what parts of this are replicable at any income level? And I'm going to ask each one of you guys this question. I'll start with you, Dominique. Excuse me. Actually, before we do that one, I'm going to let that be our final thought. I'm going to let that be our final thought. But I will ask you this, Dominique. How do you plan for support to continue without you? I think we can get one question out of each of us before we get to final thought. And I'll start with this one. How do you plan, if you set something like this up and you put it in place, you want it to live after you, right? So what's the plan for support to continue without you?
So I think a big piece that we're missing in our community is we can create all this, but how do we protect it? So having a trust in place, and the trust breaks down specifics about where this money goes, how much you get, it's protecting everything. So like, even for me and my family, like, that is important. Like, I'm positioning my children, I'm giving my children the information and the knowledge, and then also protecting what I've already built, so that in the event I'm not here, I'm talking about down to the point where we talk about, if you get married, this money stays in the bloodline, right? So you can't get married and then your husband, y'all decide to divorce and he takes the money, right? Your trust can be broken down specifically. In the event that something happens to me and my children are still young, you're not going to just get this lump sum of money. You're going to get a portion here. I'm going to give you a little bit here. You go to college, you get a little bit here, you get a little bit here throughout your life, so that it's sustained, right? You're getting the money. So I think a big piece is, you can have the money, but you can have the assets, right? You can have the house, you can have the land, but how are we protecting it? So I believe that having trust in place is another conversation that we have to talk about more within our community.
I like that. That's and very important, because we unfortunately see a wealth transfer outside of our community all the time. Kobe passing away and that $600 million going outside of our community, it just broke. That's what I said.
Yeah. What about the effects? Like, you got people fighting over this stuff. Now you end up in probate because you don't have a trust in place. And then the government gets to take some of your money. And then if people are fighting, there's more money that's being lost because they're fighting amongst each other. It just doesn't make sense when you can say, hey, this is what I want to happen. Boom, boom, boom. It's in writing. And if you dispute it, you're disinherited. Putting this stuff in writing to make sure that you're protecting everything that you build. What's the sense of him building the $100 million? And then he leaves here, and then the money's just gone, right? You just lose everything that you worked hard to build, where you can create the generational wealth by something as simple as a trust, just putting something in writing to say, hey, this is what I want to happen to my money.
Okay. So we talked about protecting the sustainability, the longevity, the system itself, right? But Aisha, how do we protect the person who's actually funding the system? So whether it be Isaiah or somebody else, you're the person who put the system in place. You're the person who has the money. Let's say even the knowledge. How does that person get protected?
Yeah, how do you protect that person? That is the key resource. I think number one is that the person themselves try to, if their skills are transferable, they can transfer that to somebody in the family if it's possible, or have somebody in training while they're to show them what everything, so that there's a way to carry on. Because what happens a lot of time is only one person does everything. When they leave, that's it. So usually in families, the wealth is lost in the first generation and it completely gone the next generation, because there was no continuity in place, right? We don't transfer what we know as much as we can to the next person to carry on, and they do the same thing for the next, so we can continue our legacy. And like Dominique said, a trust is so important, and there are different types of trust that you put in place that cannot be disrupted, right? You have the living trust that can be, I'm not a lawyer by any means, but at least I know, because I'm in the industry where you have to understand all these things to protect yourself, so that whatever you do precedes you, whether you're there or not, for generations to come. And this has been done before. We can just copy what they did in our own little way and make sure it's done. So you have the trust in place, because a will is good, but it's not ironclad. It can be contested, but we have a trust in place, and then it can be living trust or one that's irrevocable. The families that are wealthy, that you said the wealth never goes away, no matter what. If one kid becomes a drug addict, whatever, their money always stays, because they have an irrevocable trust. It doesn't matter who comes in that family that trust cannot be touched or changed. It precedes them for generation. That's how that person protects themselves, that whatever I've worked hard for, my family is going to be the one to inherit it. And I trained somebody in there with me, in the room with me, to know what is going on. So if I'm no longer there, they will continue that and pass it on and pass it on.
I love it. That's really good too. Noma, where do you start if your goal is long-term stability and not a quick fix? How early do you think someone should start planning for this kind of an impact? Like, where do you start and how early?
I think when we have conversations about inheritance, people talk about actual assets and tangible things. And I think one of the most important things about inheritance is that your children inherit good habits. And that's something that you have to instill: good values, good habits, discipline. Because the truth is, if you lose your money, you lose everything. But you have the good habits and you have the discipline and you have the know all of how to do it, you can recreate it. You see that with, I know this is probably a bad example at this particular time, but people like Donald Trump, who you hear about him filing for bankruptcy and then he's still a millionaire, billionaire, and other wealthy people, they can lose it and then in a matter of time, they're back up on top. And that's because it doesn't have much to do with the actual wealth, the tangible things. It's about inheriting that mindset, the knowledge, the systems, all of those things. So I think that's the biggest inheritance that you can give your children, is just instilling in them that knowledge, those habits, the discipline. And of course, you're going to need to protect yourself with the trust. You do need insurance, especially if you're the one earning everything. And insure yourself for a lot of money and insure your things. But I can't stress enough that what you pour into your children is way more important than the tangible things that you'll actually give them.
I love it. All right, let's do our final video, then we'll come back for final thoughts.
On the same page.
I recently had a conversation with some family members who are still struggling and living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm like, I can help all these people in the world. Why won't you allow me to help you? And so I called a family meeting, and everybody came to my house and I made them dinner. It was on a Sunday. We opened in prayer. It was very prophetic to me, is what I received, right? And we left with action plans. Like, I helped them write out their goals. I challenged their minds to start thinking like, what is your biggest pain point? Like, if money wasn't an issue, if time wasn't an issue, what would you need right now? What would help you right now at this moment? And all they had to do was come back to the house 4 weeks later, and then we would discuss it.
I need to know I need to hear the rest of that. What happened? Did they come back? Didn't they come back? I need to know what happened after that.
And
But
also, when you ask people what they need, they always say money. What do you need right now? Right now, they'll say, "I need money. It'll really help me out if you give me this amount of money." So the money has to go out
I
of
would
the way.
challenge them though. I'd be like, well, what's the plan? You think people but that's the thing. People think it's money, but it's most likely not money. They just think that it is. So that being said, our final question, our final thought for today: what part of this conversation, what part of this process, what part of this system is replicable at any income level? That's going to be our final thought for today. So answer that question and tell people where they can find you. Dominique, I'll start with you. What part of this conversation is replicable at any income level?
I think all of it can be replicated. Just starting off by having, like the lady just said, having a family meeting, talking about what each individual's goals, dreams, and aspirations are. Following up on a regular basis. One thing that I said I was going to start doing was having like business planning meetings with my friends and doing the same thing. Putting trust in place. A lot of people already own homes, so protecting your assets, putting a trust in place, getting life insurance policies on you and your family, making your trust the beneficiary of your life insurance policy. So these are all things that you can do now at any income level. Starting savings accounts for your children, IRAs, so that by the time they retire, they're not struggling. Putting these structures in place, having these conversations, and then coming back and say, hey, okay, so we came up with this plan. What are we going to do next? So I believe, again, at any level, you can do a lot of these things. If you want to find me, you can find me on all social media platforms at The Whitmore Group, or you can go to our website, thewhitmoregroup.com.
Love it. Awesome sauce. Thank you so much. Hey, Anonymous. All right. Aisha, what part of this is replicable at any income level? What are your thoughts around that?
Yes, what part is replicable? Like Dominique said, all the parts are replicable, even at the smallest level possible. It's about having that family meeting, having a conversation, honest conversation, being transparent. And if you cannot get an expert, there are a lot of free consultation you can get from your local chambers of commerce. People give you free advice. So that we can be ready when you have a family meeting together, no matter how small or how huge your estate is. You can have this conversation, because having life insurance, having a trust, is not only for those that are rich, it's for everybody, because you are working hard for something, and it's important that you pass it on, right? And they say preparation, planning, and a family vision, it's its own reward. So if we can do that, I think no matter what level we're at, just the peace of mind, the joy, and just the contentment, is priceless. And it can be done no matter how much money you make.
Love it. Noma, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's the answer is the same. I think all of it can be replicated, but the most important part that I love that actually everybody has mentioned has been that communication piece, where you get together regularly, check in with each other, have family meetings, plan together, strategize together, and move as a unit. And I think it's very important to also mention that it's very important that we manage our relationships well. I've seen so many families where things fall apart, not because they don't have a lot of things, but because they just can't manage their conflict resolution. And even you've seen it even with these groups, all these groups that we've heard of. You'll see that it was a great group, they're doing well, and then they start having conflict with each other, and then the group falls apart, and then they never really recover. So that's one of the things that I can say is really manage your relationships, keep in constant communication, and have the mindset to really help each other along the way. And I think that's a good starting point. And look for stability, because when there's no stability, there's nothing else that you can get done.
I love it. All right, I'll make my final thought really quickly, and I'm going to echo with what everyone said, basically, which is that every part of it is replicatable. the piece that I think that is most important is the action part. It's the doing, right? We get on conversations like this, we get on lives like this, we sit back and we listen, and we think this is so great for somebody else to do it, and we say we want to do it, and we hope and we wish we could have that in our family. You can. You have to be the one to do it. So it's not that it's not so much that it is replicatable as much as it is, or let me say it a different way. The thing that I think is the most important part of the replication process is the taking of the action, right? Not thinking that somebody else has to do it, and not waiting for somebody else to do it. It's you. You're the one. You're the one that your family is waiting on to do it. And it might not be financial. It literally could just be sitting down and saying, "Hey, what do we want to do as a family? Hey, what are your goals? Hey, what do you want to do? Is there something that I can add? Is there some knowledge that I have that can help you?" It doesn't necessarily have to even be money, as much as it is, what are your goals, your dreams, your interests, and is there something that I can do to help you move forward? And so that's what I think is replicatable. It's not about the money, it's about the movement in your family for generational wealth, for generational change, to break generational curses, right? Which brings me to strategy, right? I'm Dr. Lene Javette. I am a brand new brilliant strategist, and that's literally what I do all day. I help folks to figure out how to do life better, how to do business better. And so you can find me at I am Dr. Lene Javette. This conversation that we had today, it was not about money someone makes. It's about how money is used. Changing outcomes for a family requires planning, structure, strategy, and clear decisions about what support looks like over time. The real takeaway is understanding how to build something that lasts past you for generations to come, right? Using whatever resource you have right now. This is Fly Nubian Money. Please make sure you text the word Queens, Queens, to 87948. You can visit us at flynubianmoney.com. You can also listen to replays. You can check us out on YouTube, but check us out on Spotify. That's where you can listen to us in your car. Make sure you give us a rating. And we definitely want to see you back here live. I want to thank Noah Malenga, Aisha, and Dominique for being here on our panel today. Thank you all and our audience for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. As always, go out and have a blessed day. Stay Black, be beautiful, and be one. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.